It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
The CUVE Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call CUVE.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500...
Yeah, I love my HBCU, and boy, I love it, I love it, I love my HBCU, and man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. CAVIL'S, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball, So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention.
On sport, reluctantly.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. I know all the lab listeners out there ready as we go over week 2 and get into week 3. It's moving along, man. I'm a little nervous, man. This thing going too fast. I've been all anticipating this, and it's just zooming by. I see Charles out there doing his little dab, you know, because they won, and Mike said he's gonna be quiet as a mouse.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh boy.
So welcome to episode 179 of Inside the HBCU Sports Live Radio streaming podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora. All things HBCU sports from institutions large and small, from NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta CAVIL'S, along with my co-host, Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios, literally today, sending a signal live to KSOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer. He has so many honors, I can't even name them all. Multiple Hall honor, recognizable all over the world, none other than Ralph Hooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THD Agency, LLC. THD Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. Had a lot to talk about on these analytics. Mike is making it famous when he talk about them doggone data points. Well, we just had another one. We're going to get into data point 3. Week 3 is here. We're going to see what Mike has to say when we start doing that, as well as Charles. With that being said, let me jump to it. Charles, how you doing?
Oh, it is a lovely day in the neighborhood, Dr. CAVIL'S.
What they say, lovely day. Lovely day.
Oh, it is a lovely, lovely day. Having a blast, as well as Jackson State Tiger Nation. They having a blast as well. It is a great 2-0 Tuesday. I'll take it.
Great 2-0 Tuesday. Oh, yes. I love it. Mike Washington, how you doing?
Man, it's all right, man. It's all right.
I even took away your professor.
It really is all right.
You didn't turn in your CV on time this month, so I'm taking away your professor title away. The Panthers get beat up.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, what's the term? Woodshed whooping. I got some other terms, but I don't think I can stand on this show. But
hey, man, they get a chance to bounce back this week. We'll talk about it on Thursday. On some of the matchups, they got another Southland team in Houston. They go to Houston Baptist.
Yeah.
As Joe Clay said, he got beat up by the Catholics. He said maybe they pray for us and we'll see what happens against the Baptist.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty clever.
That's pretty good. I like that.
That's pretty good. So let me get a shout out to the lab listeners out here. Willie Mack, Boyd Brevard, Yvonne McIntosh Maxwell, James Walter Hill Jr., Price, I think there's Noel, Jimmy Wilson's in here. My power returned just in time for class. Yeah, same here. I've been out, didn't have to go in because they shut us in, but we had no power, so I couldn't play around. And everything came on right on time for the show. I'm so excited. Ricky Burton, Chuck Hunt as always. Ricky Burton is always. We in the lab, baby. He got that black and gold. Black and old. W. Sherman Miller, Thomas Jones, G. Boo Holland. I'm going to sit back off these class today. He said he's just going to listen in. He ain't got much to say.
Oh, he ain't got nothing to say this week? What, Boom ain't got nothing to say this week? Oh, come on, Boom.
Brian Crow, William E. Davis, strike again. Yeah, the Rattlers bounce back. Had me nervous as a SWAC fan when it was halftime along with Southern. I was like, oh man, we gonna take a
that halftime score had a lot of people nervous.
Yeah, it did.
Karen Griffin, Tuskegee, Clark, Atlanta. Karen, your item is in the mail, so you should get it, I believe, this week Thursday, no later than Friday. Carolyn Bolden, LaShawn Harris, Thomas Jones with them snakes, Fred Whitted, Winston-Salem State HBCU Heritage Center, member of HBCU Pro Sports Media, sending good information out there. Troy Lamont Coleman, representing those Aggies. Boy, I see he be giving them folks just plain grief over there on the FCF site. I'm like, man, leave the people alone. Yeah, they can't handle what he brings. He just keep giving them trouble. Trudy Jackson, Regina Johnson, Hillman Frazier, Hill in the house.
Senator Frazier.
Senator Frazier up here making sure he gets some of this in here. I appreciate it. Anytime we get a state senator, oh my goodness, that's big time. Yeah. So with that being said, let me get into it. What is some news that you got out there, Charles? What is the news of the day? What's some things you got on your mind? What's out there? What's fresh?
Yeah, let's take a look at first. Let's start off with the SWAC Weekly Honors. SWAC named Jackson State Shador Sanders, James Houston, and Warren Newman, along with FAMU's Deontay Williams, as its SWAC Football Players of the Week for their outstanding performances. We take a look on the offensive end. Shador, record-breaking performance against Tennessee State, 30 of 40, 362 yards passing, and 3 touchdowns. The 30 completions set a new Southern Heritage Classic record. Defensively, James Houston, 10 tackles, 4.5 sacks, for negative 33 yards. And Warren Newman, he had an 81-yard punt return in that game, so he was a specialist of the week. And then newcomer of the week, Deontay Williams. He found his way into the backfield. He recorded 3 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble in FAMU's 34-7 win over Fort Valley State. So those are your SWAC players of the week.
Let me say this. Just when I thought I got comfortable with Jackson State having a tough defense, all of a sudden Shador opens the door and lets you know that he gonna play a little football this fall as a freshman. I was like, ooh-wee. And then you had the specialists. We knew you had a little speed over there, but they showing out. I hope it's more about Tennessee State than it is in Jackson, because if not, it's going to get interesting in a couple of weeks. Mike, what kind of news you got out there?
Man, did you see how he says Shador? Shador! All that wasn't necessary. I mean, really. So I'd like to get into the MEAC and SIAC Players of the Week, but here's another story. The MEAC makes history with 2 female officials at the Delaware State game. So they made history this past Saturday as there were 2 female officials working the football game between Georgetown and Delaware State at Alumni Stadium in Dover, Delaware. So it's marked the first time in conference history that multiple female officials worked a football game. Henrietta Powell and Monique Washington, no relation, unfortunately, were part of the crew at Delaware State on Saturday. Powell served as head linesman and Washington serves as line judge. Congratulations to Mrs. Powell and Mrs. Washington on their historic start, and hopefully won't be the last time we hear from these 2 young ladies.
Well, Chivalry's not dead. I'm going to jump in here because I like that you gave love on the women's side. Great point. Showing out for the MEAC. They continue to cut the edges. They got some more news out there where they're pretty much one of the first FCS programs to do it. Provide victory game clocks for membership for the MEACsports.com. That's a big deal. And then you got Howard's women volleyball team making splash with those twins from Texas. They putting in some work. As freshmen getting it over there. A lot of people excited about that transfer. It seems like they're doing it.
Yes.
And then you got to give some kudos to FAMU Rattlers volleyball team over there. They're playing some good volleyball. One of the few women team in the SWAC. They're really getting it done with a winning record overall. So it'll be interesting when it gets in the conference play. They're going to be something to reckon with.
Dominique Washington, 100 kills. Number 25 in the FCS. Dominique Washington. No relation, unfortunately. There's a lot of Washingtons out there.
Yeah. He putting in work too. Charles, Professor Bishop, as they call you. What's some other news that you want to share?
Well, this is getting tremendous traction. Alcorn State practice halted by a training staff shortage. When you take a look at what's happening at Alcorn, it's pretty sad. And Coach touched on it in his Monday press conference yesterday in terms of he put the onus squarely on the administration. So that's one of those HBCU notes that's making the rounds today.
Yeah, I dug in that a little bit, and we know that this goes back. This is essentially a war and a squabble between the head football coach and the coaches over there and the administration, not just athletic administrators, but all the way to the president. It's going to be interesting to see how far this goes along, because I've gotten word on the other side that this is not sweet in terms of Fred McNair's side of the story in terms of what he gets done. And usually it's like that. It's halfway in the middle. But one thing I will be said about Fred, he is good about making sure he puts what he wants out there in the media. And that goes a long way. So we talk all about Coach Prime and what he does with the media. There's some other savvy coaches out here, administrators for that matter. They do it maybe slightly different, not all the time, but they know where to go and lather up the media a little bit too. So you see that in this case. So it'll be fascinating. No one's innocent in all of this, and I hope it doesn't go anywhere where it really hurts the players. That's the bottom line that we're in the business for. Everybody else, I mean, now they can get some financial benefits, but for the most part, everybody else is finding a way to literally make money off this from a living. So we got to make sure we're doing right by the students. I'll say that part.
Sure.
Before we get into the break, I want to go back to Mike. What else you got, Mike? What's else on your mind?
Let's recognize a few mid-majors. We talk about players of the week. So Jerome Johnson, Bowie State. Johnson completed 27 to 35 passes for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, including a 96-yarder to Darius Bowman, and leading number 25 Bowie State to a 28-19 win over Saginaw Valley, getting them back on the winning track. So the reigning CIAA Offensive Player of the Year currently leads the conference with 635 yards passing and 6 touchdowns, keeping it going. Receiver of the week, Darius Bowman, Bowie State. Bowie was the favorite target of quarterback Jerome Johnson on Saturday, hauling in 8 catches, 175 yards, and included a 96-yard touchdown catch. He also recorded 1 rush for 6 yards and helping number 25 Bowie State to its 28-19 win. So congratulations to a handful of folks from Bowie State in their win. Also a mention is Joshua Pryor, defensive lineman of the week.
Yeah.
Joshua Pryor. Pryor finished with a game-high 7 tackles, including 5 solos in nationally ranked Bowie State's win. So congratulations to that Bowie State sweep. There were a few others mentioned, but of note, I wanted to recognize Bowie State as a mid-major having a great week and having its players recognized in the mid-major players of the week for the CIAA.
Yes, great comments. Glad you got into some of that mid-major love. When you talk about Bowie State, great bounce back non-conference win. We talked about a little bit about that on Sunday. They got another non-conference chance they can show out as they go on the road. It'll be fascinating to see what they can do on that top 25. It gives us a chance to tease out, and I'll see where they have them in the mid-major poll ranking.
Can you tell Charles to stop stretching like that? I don't want to see that JSU stretched out like that.
Well, you got everybody excited about Jackson State.
Don't nobody need to stretch that much. He done it 6 times, and we ain't even halfway through the show.
Mike, I got a crook in my neck,
Ralph
man.
Cooper talking about the JSU, LU, Louisiana Monroe game, ULM. It'll be fascinating. You got George Suggs over here, JSU, ULM, Coach Prime. How do you spell defense? Zone coverage. He says he putting it out there real fast. Think you got to play a little zone coverage. He said, you think he can get it done against Monroe playing a little zone coverage? You think they can be taken? It'll be interesting. Shout out, because I do have to say this. I'm mad because he's not at an HBCU, but he's my nephew, so I'm going to give him love. So, Charles, I know you'll be on the road. Make sure you put a mic in his face. Make him say something so I can send it to his brother and mommy and make him proud. But one of the twins, Kobe, the other one I got down at Prairie View, not playing football, but doing what we do on the academic side. But his brother's over there at ULM. He plays some wide receiver, kick returner. So it'll be interesting. I obviously pull for HBCU, pull for Jackson State, and I'll be honest, I'm going to be pulling for Jackson State again. So, yeah. Yeah, they can I'm gonna rub it real. I'm gonna put it on it for Christmas. I'm gonna make sure he know it. Told you should have went to the HBCU. I told you should have went to So I would get it in there. Before we do that, shout out Top 10 SportsCenter, South Carolina State, Durant, defensive back at preseason defensive player of the year. Yep. Decobie Durant was featured on ESPN SportsCenter Top 10 plays over the weekend for his performance against Clemson. Durant had 2 interceptions in the game, including a diving grab near midfield in the 4th quarter. It looks like he was laying out as a wide receiver. His defensive back decided, I'm going to get that. Give me that. Give me that. With that, we'll be back. This is Dr. Cavill inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We'll be right back after this first quarter break going into the second quarter. we're going to get into the poll rankings. I want to see what y'all think about the poll rankings, mid-major and major. We'll look at the top 5. You can go to BCSN, THG Agency, and we'll get you the whole 10. But we're going to focus on the top 5, the ones that really are in the race. We'll see who are pretenders and who are the real leaders in the pack. This is Dr. Ville inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We'll be right back after this break.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Man, I'm just telling y'all see it, man. If you're Charles, I know Charles in it big. Go to Slow Burns and get your championship smokes. Y'all talking all that noise. Some of y'all say y'all gonna win the championship. Whether it's a classic trophy, I got mine with the Labor Day Classic. And we got another one coming in Dallas, State Fair Classic. Get your cigars so you can talk that smoke. Somebody gonna get smoked. Charles got 2 of them already in the bag. Go to slowburnswaco.com. and get your smoke as we get in there. I'm telling you, that's where it's at as we get to it, as we go throughout the season. You'll see us get into it. Now, let's get into what everybody wants to know. Mid-major. Remember, on Thursday, we do the marching sport. That's Thursday. That's really different because we do wins and losses. And it's my understanding that Jackson State took 2 wins this weekend over Tennessee State. Yep. We'll see what that means in the poll. But let's do what we did. Mid-major. Obviously, you can go to THC Agency. You can go to Facebook and all the social media plans, and I have the entire top 10 poll rankings on there. There was one team that dropped out. I will give them some love in terms of what that looks like. Actually, it was 3 teams. There's a lot of movement. Some of them in the top 5, so we'll focus on that. But 3 teams dropped out. Virginia Union Panthers, they are 0-2. Miles Golden Bears, they're 0-2. They dropped out. Yeah, you're right. They played up FCS programs. So they'll probably find a way to get back in there, but it's early. They drop out. Clark Atlanta Panthers, 1-1. Jumped in the poll. People question about that. It was early. They had a chance at home to see if they could show people they were for real. Lane said, no, not for real. And they find a way to drop in the top 10. And then we got some teams that jump all the way into the top 5 that I'm fascinated with. We're going to get into that. So let's get into the top 5 programs for the mid-major as things got shaken up a little bit this week. At number 5, you got Savannah State Tigers. They're 1-1. They were not ranked. They have 66 votes. They're in there. At number 4, you have the Benedict Tigers. 2-0, 73 not ranked. They have a big matchup. top 5 matchup, 4 versus 5. I got to see this, Charles. Professor Washington, Mike, I got to see this matchup. This is an SIAC matchup, Eastern Division. It's going to go a long way in terms of what's going to happen on that side of the division. Is early. Boy, I tell you, it doesn't get much better than that when you get a top 5 matchup. We had similar to one on the major first opening weekend with FAMU and Jackson State. It lived up everything to it. I hope this one does too. Bringing us to number 3. This may surprise some people. Bowie State Bulldogs, 1-1. They have 1 first place vote. They move up from the 4th spot. They dropped out. They rebounded with the big win. Other teams are doing well ahead of them. And that's why, as they started at number 1, they're no longer there after that opening loss. Delaware State won that they wish they would have had back. At number 2, Albany State Golden Rams, 2-0, 4 first place votes. Big win on the opening. They continue to win, setting it up. Another big game this matchup. We'll get into that a little more later. 83 points remaining at number 2. At number 1, Langston Lions. They took to the woodshed, Texas College, conference game, doing what you're supposed to. They 2-0, playing a lot of conference games early, setting the stage. We'll see what this means. I know some other schools probably have tougher conferences, so it'll be interesting to see if they can hold on to that number 1 ranking. But they're doing what they're supposed to do at the time they can do it. Let me go to Mike. Let me know, what do you think about the top 5 teams in the top 10 in week number 3? What do you say, Mike?
Not bad, but not there. First of all, Langston.
Not bad, not there. What?
Not bad, not there. Langston Line has 2 wins over, what is it, Panhandle State and Texas College. Granted, they're good, they're decent wins. Albany State, better schedule, better strength of opponents. Bowie State should not have jumped over Benedict. To all
Whoa!
Yeah, Bowie State lost their first game big. I think they should be in number 4. They should be in the top 5, but to me, in the top 3, you should be undefeated personally. So Benedict number 3. Bowie State should be like number 4 or 5. And I'm telling you, after Benedict plays Savannah State, I'm sure they're going to drop out a little further.
Oh!
Mike is on fire. Charles, man, tell me. Let me live a little bit.
Well, hold on, Mike. Didn't Bowie play up that first game? You gonna slide a little slack on that?
Yeah, that's why I said they should still be in the top 5.
All right. I like the poll. I like Benedict where they are. That's going to be a real good matchup this week against Savannah State, especially when you talk about a hot quarterback that they have in Eric Phoenix. 11 of 18, 292 yards this past week, 4 touchdowns. And going up against Savannah State. Savannah State is looking to be a bully over there in SIAC. So I'm looking forward to that little matchup to see what's going to happen. Let's see if the Benedict Tigers are for real. I'm real curious about this game to see how they match up with Savannah State.
Hey, data point of the week. Data point game of the week.
Go for
I agree with you. Big data point game on the week. Man, let me get back in here. Stephen Gaither wants to get in a little bit of this HBCU game day. Bowie State's losing to DSU. Delaware State is greater than beating Allen. Interesting. Regina Johnson says, good evening, SWAC family. Yes, good evening. A&M checking in. Hashtag Bulldogs. Jimmy says, Mike Washington calling shots. Yeah, he getting in there. No doubt about it. Michael Ford says, good evening. Late for the lecture. Thursday night, those dogs will be ready. 35-28, maroon and white. People are ready for this Thursday night game. Hey, Ed, stick with us. I know y'all want to see the Thursday night game. We on first 30 minutes. Stick with us. We're going to tease you and give you some updates during the game so you can stay with us and make sure you get into the last 30 minutes. And then we're going to turn over and watch it with you. Had a couple of folks. You're right. In terms of the game of the week, that's a big one. Wait till the second half. We're going to get into a little more talk about that matchup. Trust me. Now, let me finish up with top 25 on the major division side before we get into our next break and come back and talk about some of these conference matchups. They're going to be big. Thursday, we'll debut some of those HBCU classics and non-conference games that will also be big this weekend. So we got a busy schedule in week number 3. That's going to separate more data points on the conference, Southland Conference, MEAC. It's going to be interesting. CIAA, SIAC. With that said, We did have one team drop out of the top 10. That's South Carolina State Bulldogs on to a very tough schedule they played. They'll get a chance to jump back into it. It just happens to be the time of the schedule. A lot of spread deviation in it, so don't get too riled up and excited. It'll play out. It'll play out. They get their chance. With that, when we get in the top 5, there are some changes. There's a new team in the top 5 this week, in week number 2 as we have it. It'll be fascinating to see what that looks like. At number 5, you have North Carolina Central. They fall a spot after losing FBS program. They're 1-1, still living off that beat of Alcorn. It helps the fact that Alcorn has rebounded and got a victory over Northwestern State this weekend at home, which does put Alcorn in the top 10. They're right at 6 to sneak that out there to let you know where they are, and they move up 4 spots from number 10. At number 4, you have Florida A&M Rattlers, 1-1, 0-1 in the conference race. They were 6. They move up 2 spots as they bounce back with the win over Fort Valley State. And the fact they had a close loss to Jackson State that is dominating right now helps them in terms of their strength of schedule in a lot of ways. At number 3, you have Arkansas Pine Bluff, the Golden Lions. They're 1-1. 1-0 as they just played one game. They had that Division II win over Lane. Lane has bounced back and got a win. That helps them a little bit in terms of they're still a Division II win. You'll get to see a lot about Arkansas Pine Bluff. They play a top 20 team in Central Arkansas that is in that Sun Atlantic Conference as they're working with WAC in terms of get the automatic bid. It'll be fascinating. At number 2, you have Jackson State Tigers, 2-0, 1-0, 3 first place votes. They added the first place vote, 106 points. They move up 1 spot from number 3. They continue to improve. Depending on what happens this Thursday, continue what Jackson State does, it's going to be fascinating. If nothing else, that matchup for homecoming in Huntsville, Alabama in a couple of weeks could be a top 1 and 2. It could be the number 2 team going on the road to number 1. No, even if, let's say, Jackson State can't get it done this week, they're not going to fall that far, you got to believe. So it's a top 5 ranking. Obviously, Bethune-Cookman could throw a monkey wrench on Thursday, what that looks like. But that's going to be fascinating. As you can obviously see, Alabama A&M retains and continues to be number 1. They did not play this week. They have 8 first-place votes. They did grab another first-place vote, even though they didn't play, to let you know what other teams around them are doing. 115 points. But that matchup between Jackson State, Alabama A&M, Charles said this very early. He said it was going to be in the latter part of the season that you're going to be talking about the Eastern Division. Well, guess what? It's already here.
It's already here. It's already here.
Let me stick with you, Charles. What are your thoughts on the poll rankings here?
Oh, I'm looking at Florida A&M at 4. Ooh, that's a shaky 4. I'll give it to them. I'll let them stay there right now, but that's a shaky 4. Quarterback issues. I just don't know from a quarterback standpoint what FAMU is looking like. They made the switch in the second half to go back to Rashard McKay, and they seemingly got things on track in the second half against Fort Valley, but that was a fight against Fort Valley. Kudos to their defense, though. Their defense really is playing lights out football, keeping them in ball games. So they were able to really put that 1-2 punch on Fort Valley in the second half. But that's a shaky number 4, though. I just don't know. I don't know going forward in the East. The East is going to be a beast, Dr. Cavill.
Yeah, you said it early. To your point, though, you might want the FAMU to be a little strong right now. You got that victory over FAMU. You want them to look as good as possible because it just makes it look better in terms of your ranking top 25 and all that kind of stuff. You want FAMU to win. But there's no running from anybody in the SWAC anymore. You're going to find out. I mean, latter part of this, they go to Baton Rouge. They go to Pine Bluff. Obviously, they have Alabama State. They have Grambling at home. The rival with Bethune-Cookman. And, by the way, they do go to the current number 1 team in Huntsville and Alabama A&M. So, yeah, they can't run from it. If they're going to be a top 5, they're going to prove it on the field for sure. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Actually, this poll is not bad. There's some shaky spots, but I got to give you kudos on this particular poll, but there's some shaky spots. Pine Bluff, we'll see in the couple of weeks. Their road through the end of September is going to be tough. They have Alcorn and they have Prairie View. My uncle has reminded me a couple of times that he circled a date when Pine Bluff plays Prairie View. that will be a tough matchup. The other thing is, I believe with C, I believe B, that FAMU number 4 spot. I don't know about that. The Alcorn State win against Northwestern State. I'm telling you, Alcorn is not out of the mix.
I like that win. That's a strong win. That's a strong win.
That's a strong win, and they will make their way back up. Trust me. So right now, it looks like that beast is in the East, but sure enough, as we get into the season, you'll see that the best is in the West.
Great points. Kevin Crawford said, I agree. Quarterback position, FAMU is shaky. The defense is legit. G-Boom Hollis chimes in. He said, yeah, the East is getting it on early. Yeah. In September, he says the West will heat up in mid-October. Think about this. If that's the concern, wait till November gets here for both the East and the West. Ain't no telling what's going to be going on. But I agree with both of you. East shaking up in September. October, the West gets hot. November is when you're going to really separate those pretenders from contenders for real.
What did they say in that movie, Drumline? You know, October is going to be tree shaking and elimination time. That's where the pretenders going to get separated out in October because you got some real quick.
What's that biblical term? The sheaf and the wheat. The wheat's gonna get separated. That separation is gonna happen in late October, where the West is gonna start to rise. I'm telling you, mark my words for it.
We from the shaft, ain't no question about it. This is Dr. Camille inside the HBC Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, bringing it early, hot and heavy. Y'all heard of Paul Ricketts. Let me know what you think as we go into this break. We'll be back in the second half. We'll get into some of these matchups for this weekend. It starts early. This is week number 3, and it's just getting good. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show. From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High-quality cigars plus personal customer service with Slow Burn. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. It's more than a mobile lounge. It's an environment and an experience rich in history, luxury, and personality. An elegant extension of any celebration occasion. It's the perfect escape and meeting place, a space where you can relax or enjoy a shared passion. Have Slow Burn plan your next big event, or before you are planning to celebrate your win over your athletic rival, you can shop our collections at www.slowburnwaco.com.
But if they won, keep tabs. Press the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Camille with Inside HBC Sports Lab. Mr. John Grant, Celebration Bowl. Them cigars gonna be hot. They're gonna be celebration. You know, we ain't talking about the student athletes now, the college athletes, but the coaches and the fans, they can get theirs. But John Grant, we trying to catch up with you. We need to hear what's going on. I heard you got a road to the Celebration Bowl. Folks are excited about trying to make it there from the MEAC and SWAC. Tell us what's up. With that being said, let's get in some of these matchups as we start to see who's gonna start to make some statements early on. Let's start with the MEAC. MEAC Major Division Game of the Week is going to feature CIAA matchup. We're going to go back a little bit into the history box with this on Saturday, September 18th. As you know, at 5 o'clock, it's on ESPN Plus. Yeah, Winston-Salem State Rams out of the CIAA 0-1. These are not your former Winston-Salem State Rams with Coach over there at Alabama A&M. Maynard was doing his thing, taking the championships. They struggling a little bit there. But they take on a top 5 program, number 5, North Carolina Central Eagles out of the MEAC, 1-1. Should be interesting because this goes back. You know they're going to be coming prepared to play, but North Carolina Central has a chance to make a little bit of a statement here. If they can put the foot on it, and they can show that they're going to really take the next steps. But if not, then we'll know that maybe we can look a little differently at that week 0 win over Alcorn State. It'll be interesting. Let me go with you, Mike. What are your thoughts on this matchup here?
Yeah, I think it's a pivotal game for North Carolina Central. I mean, they're 1-1. You know, to their credit, they played well. They lost to Marshall at 44-10 or something like that. They have Winston-Salem State, and then they have North Carolina A&T, and then they have Valley. We won't talk about Valley. So
they're doing that to Valley, man.
We won't talk about Valley. I'm not gonna say nothing. Valley? We talking about Valley? No, we ain't talking about Valley. So we're gonna talk about them against Winston-Salem State, 0-1, not off to a good start. It is their chance to really solidify and say, hey, we are for real. They play a very good constant offense. They've averaged 250 yards of offense. Their quarterback, Davius Richards, is a solid player. He's the quiet assassin. So we'll see. Can they get past this one data point and prove that they're at least for real in the MEAC?
With that said, it's Dr. Cavill inside HBC Sports Lab with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop. Mike, let me get in here. Tyler wants you to know that we're talking about a real school now. I think he had talking about Winston-Salem State Rams. For some reason, I think that's what he's mentioning when he says a real school. I'm not sure, but I'm just saying. I think that Jay Max says Core 360 Sports will be in SIAC land covering the Morehouse Benedict game. Boy, he's going to have some great pictures there. Make sure you show us some love, Jay Max. With that, Charles, what do you think? Thoughts on this matchup?
That's going to be a tough one for Winston-Salem. That's biting off a pretty good team there going against North Carolina Central after falling this past week to Catawba. But like Mike said, Davius Richard, he's a heck of a quarterback. We saw him in that first game against Alcorn, really to kind of take over that game and really lead North Carolina Central to a win. So looking for big things with North Carolina Central in this game against Winston-Salem State.
Yeah, let's get into what everybody really wants to hear about, the SWAC Major Division Game of the Week. It's an easy one. From Daytona Beach, Florida, we saw FAMU jump into the SWAC first weekend against Jackson State. Now we have Bethune-Cookman getting their chance Thursday night prime time game against number 1 Alabama A&M, 1-0. Big win over South Carolina State, top 5, top 10 program. They did drop out this week, but at the time, they were top 10 program. Bethune-Cookman has had 2 losses, 0-2, but they played really competitive against FBS programs. What are your thoughts in terms of this 6:30 Central Time matchup? Again, we're telling all the listeners, come to us. We'll keep you updated. You can chime in your thoughts of the game as you watch it and listen to us, and then we'll jump in and watch it all together. We might even have a watch party if you're not careful. Charles, what's your thoughts on it?
Intriguing matchup. $1 million question is, can you get the Quill Glass? That's the thing. He gets the ball out of his hands. I think if you can get to him, it becomes a disruptive force for Bethune-Cookman. But that's the $1 million question. Nobody's been able to get the Quill Glass, and you know he has that strike force of receivers. When you talk about Zayd Moore, Abdul Fatai Ibrahim, those guys are top-notch tight end as well. But, you know, Shannon Patrick is not chopped liver himself for Bethune-Cookman. You take a look at what he did against UTEP. You know, he was 15 of 22. He completed passes to 6 different receivers. And keep an eye out for the name Caleb Sutherland. He was all over the place against UTEP, 13 tackles in that game. So, A&M on the road going to Bethune, home opener? Oh, it's intriguing. But I got to take A&M on this one. Just
Yeah,
that
hold
much.
it in a little bit. We'll let you talk about what you think on Thursday. We'll get you to break down both of y'all. So hold it in, tease them just a little bit. I know you're leaning towards Alabama A&M, but it seems like something's tugging at you. We'll see by Thursday if that tug is pulled all the way out. J-Mac said he'll be in front of his big screen TV with his own watch party. Jimmy says watch party is a great idea. Yeah, we're going to look at the watch party. We'll work with Roy. Roy has a lot of magic up his sleeves. He puts a lot of things together. He mentioned to me and said there's some things that we may be working on. So we'll let you know how that goes and what we're thinking about, seeing what we can get done in it. Even if it gets the glass, it will have to be consistent and take away the run. Great point, J-Mac. Let's see what Mike Washington says, see if he agrees with you. What are your thoughts on this SWAC major division game of the week? And it is major.
I got 3 names for you. Ryan Jenkins, Abraham, Allaire. 3 receivers, top 5 in receiving in the SWAC. High defense, Akil Glass. Can this Bethune defense get back to at least some of the defenses of old? They have been known to stop on a high-powered offense such as North Carolina A&T, but this is a different animal. This is a lion. Can you stop this lion in this jungle? I don't think so. It'll be interesting.
It's a dog. It ain't no lion.
Well, dog, lion, I don't care. It's the jungle, man. So
hey, I'm gonna lean on my MEAC people on this. You know, Bethune-Cookman got that old MEAC toughness. You know, they already look down on these SWAC teams anyhow.
Yeah.
So they coming after Akil Glass.
Hey, but Bethune will step up to the challenge. They probably gonna get tired of hearing Akil Glass, and their defenses do have a history of putting a stop to high-powered offense. But I'm telling you, 3 receivers, top 5 SWAC, Akil Glass.
Hey, Mike, you know I'm gonna sound like a MEAC fan now. Even though Bethune-Cookman in the SWAC now, these SWAC offenses, they soft. They soft. We'll get that Akil Glass. they still got some of that old MEAC toughness stuff.
So that's what you can't overlook.
That's what South Carolina said twice.
Good point. Good point.
They still trying to get after.
That's true. Very true.
And that's one of the better teams in the MEAC. I mean, let's not get it twisted. And they are predicted to be the #1 team out of the MEAC. So while other teams may have had some problems called the Braves or Alcorn in terms of the MEAC, and that's specifically one team called North Carolina A&T, and they no longer in the MEAC. I think you got to start separating a little bit and look differently. To your point, though, you do have the data points of the MEAC SWAC challenge. They're being wide open there. But even in that, if you don't get lost in the numbers, the last 5 years, the record is 3-2. MEAC to SWAC.
MEAC.
The last 2 were 2-2. That Bethune-Cookman-Jackson State game, when you said there was some question about Jackson State, that game was right there until late, and Bethune-Cookman pulled out. So I'm not sure if this separation that we see in some of these games are as big as we think. I think there were a couple of teams that got it done. And even if you go outside of that last matchup between Alcorn State and North Carolina A&T, the last couple of matchups between North Carolina A&T and whoever they were playing were a touchdown game. So it wasn't like they were just beating them all up. Yeah, it did in that last matchup. They made a statement as they left and decided to leave, but something else there.
I would also say that I don't know if we have a real data point on how good Bethune is, because they played UTEP. We don't know how good UTEP is. They lost, 28-38. They played University of Central Florida, and, they got their hats handed to them. But, UCF's pretty good. In terms of getting in the SWAC and getting this play, I don't think we know how good they are just yet. And so there's a watch out. There's an X factor with Bethune, especially their defense. They have a history of taking that. Just ask FAMU, ask North Carolina A&T. So I would say I pointed to the 3 receivers in that high-powered offense of Alabama A&M, but that Bethune defense, that old MEAC mentality, as CB said, I wouldn't overlook that.
Last thing I would say about this matchup before we go to this break, and we'll come back and look at the mid-major games of the week, so it'll be interesting to close out the show, is the fact that these 2 coaches are familiar with each other.
Oh, yeah.
Both as they coached in the MEAC, Hampton, Bethune-Cookman, head coaches, assistant coaches. So it's not like they're not going to be familiar with the styles and what they want to do. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Bethune-Cookman, as you said, defensively, that's where they're going to hang their hat. They're going to try to make some offensive plays, and they're going to keep you off balance. So it'll be interesting to see what they're able to do. They're going to try to run on Alabama A&M. That's no secret. But on the other side, Alabama A&M, are they going to be able to push the ball down the field like they want? Are they going to be able to open it up and catch Bethune-Cookman on the heels? It's going to be an interesting matchup to look at. This is Dr. Ville inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Reed, come on back with us for that last quarter as we get into the mid-major games of the week. CIAA, SIAC, we got some games to watch over there as well. Stick with us as we get into the fourth quarter. It's just getting good.
Chuck Hunt.
We'll be right back after this break.
Chuck Hunt, that comment. He said that BCU is like that creature in Jurassic Park that put on a soft demeanor, but the personality changed due to damage.
Oh, man, that's good. Well, let's keep moving. We're going to go to a break here, but looks like we're going to stick with it.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
The CUVE Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call CUVE.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Sugar Chateau.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna love, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Demetrius Gatewood has got in here. He says Southern and Jackson have an opportunity for an upset. I see that a little bit with Jackson State. I'm not too sure about the Southern upset. Yeah. I think Southern should beat McNeese State. We're going to talk a little bit about that on Thursday. I don't see that as an upset personally, but I understand how some would in terms of what McNeese has done over the thing. But it's been interesting. If you go look at the overall teams, non-conference records of the teams in the Southland, they're having a big struggle as they have those WAC teams may be doing a little something, but the teams in the Southland are not so much. So it'll be fascinating to see what that looks like as that kind of churns and continues with some of the things there. But Linda Johnson says the SWAC is so awesome. Got a lot of loves and likes on that one. Yeah, great point. I love it. I love it. UAB Central Arkansas will be packed game. Yeah, that'll be interesting. You see Demetrius is in some of these non-conference historic white college HBCU matchups. That's going to be interesting. We will get a little more of that on Thursday as well. But let's get back to it. CIAA mid-major division game of the week. It's the SIC CIAA matchup. Yeah, it's a little bit off the board, but I love when we get these intra-conference matchups, if you would, or inter-conference matchups, I should say. In this case, it's Central State Matadors, 1-1 on the season, at Shaw Bears 0-2. Central State has already got a win over the CIAA. The SIC looks like they're back in the football business. They're, 3-0, 4-0 against the CIAA. Obviously, they may have not played what some people think are the top echelon of the CIAA, nor are the teams in the SIC the top teams that many people think in the SIC. So it'll be interesting to see what shakes out. can CIAA get off the snide? They need to do it for the conference. Central State versus Shaw. Mike, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
Man, Central State on this one.
Yeah, he's trying to find something nice to say about Shaw. He can't do
it. Shaw, you know, they came out the gates with a big loss against Wingate and had a close loss against Davidson this past weekend. So we'll see what they can do against Central State. Meanwhile, you know, if you look at Central State, they usually finish with 2 or 3 wins. I don't think we know how good Shaw is. You know, Central State, didn't they? If memory corrects me, they're 1-1, right? So Shaw is 0-2. They lost to a team in Davidson I think they should have beat. And Central State, you know, they beat Lincoln? Was it 20-7, something like that?
Hey, Mike, Darren Lasbury is not walking through that door. Shaw will not beat Central State. If your name is not Bowie State or Virginia Union, I chalk it up for the SIAC on that one. So yeah. I pull you out of that one. I was trying
to overanalyze and give Shaw a chance, but I just don't see where Shaw has a chance.
Okay, 10-4.
Central State finishes at the middle or the bottom of that division every year, and they'll still come out victorious.
I won't even go to Charles now because he jumped in there and made it known for everybody. We're going to get to what everybody really wants to hear. SIAC Mid-Major Division Game of the Week, Savannah, Georgia, Theodore A. Wright Stadium. Saturday, September the 18th, 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. You got a top 5 matchup. Number 4, Benedict Tigers, 2-0. And number 5, Savannah State Tigers. They did it all in 2019. Are they for real? People want to know Benedict Tigers. Are they for real? One of these teams are going to get to make a statement and say, yeah, we for real. And you're going to see right here in terms of this 5 o'clock Central Standard Time game out of the SIAC. It's my SIAC Mid-Major Division Game of the Week. Charles, what do you say?
Give me Eric Phoenix and the Benedict Tigers to go on the road and pull off the shocker at Savannah State. Eric Phoenix, 11 of 18, 292 yards, 4 touchdowns. Can get away from the pressure. Give me the Benedict Tigers. I think they're for real.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. Mike, what do you say?
Give me that beast in Savannah State. They done put up 90 points in 2 games. Give me Savannah State to come out.
Yeah, boy, this is fascinating. So they splitting it. They splitting it on this SIAC. This is another one. Good matchups this week for HBCU, especially conference matchups specifically. You got that Thursday night game in the SWAC. You got the Saturday game in SIAC. It's fascinating when you talk about that. As we close, let me go out there and tell John Grant, man, we're looking for you. We're looking for you. The BCS team, Roy says he wants to get up with you. We know that you're getting done in that road to the Celebration Bowl Atlanta. Charles over there smiling a little bit. He think he might have something to say about that.
Mr. Grant ought to smile too if Jackson State head over there, Atlanta, because you know Tiger Nation's on the way. Because we're going to take over Monroe this weekend. So I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it, that ain't but a 90-mile drive.
Hey, please record this. Please record this.
Mike says he won't beat to that. Say his Panthers got something to say about that. You still got a little more season go to championship game. We'll see. Long season. Alabama and them Bulldogs say, hey, you got to come up here to the hill first, get by us.
That's true.
That's true. Then you got them folks down there in the country, Mississippi, the Cone, as they say about that. The Cone say, hey, we might be in another division, but we still got a rivalry game. We're going to see what it do.
Everybody has an opportunity to make me as quiet as a church mouse. I understand. But right now, ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun, baby.
What you say? If we win, you gonna do the dab? You've been doing a lot of dabbing.
Ooh, buddy. y'all been wearing me out for about 7 years. It ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun.
No doubt about it. That'll do it for us. Let's close it out. Having too much fun. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast streaming platform with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. That's Professor Washington, Professor Bishop. You're in the lab, you're in the lecture, but it's time to close. Again, we thank you for listening for Dr. Mills Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. Give you a little homework assignment. Go look at those classic games of the week, Howard Hampton. We'll be back to talk about that a little bit. And then we're going to get into some of these non-conference. You saw Gatewood snuck it out. We have some Southland Conference matchups. We have that Atlantic Sun matchup. We're going to talk about a little bit about that. You also had it SWAC matchup. So it's going to be interesting with some big-time FCS SWAC matchups this week. Some teams can make a statement. We'll go into that and see what happens. We'll take a deep dive a little bit. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's DrKenyattCavil on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. That's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We look forward to next Thursday as we discuss the latest news in the lab. We told you what we're going to go. We're going to go big. We're going to go deep. We even look at a watch party. Keep following us, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'll give you more on that. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Course.
Mike?
Lecture.
Dismissed.
Happy birthday, Mom.